Good morning, and thank you for joining us today for this webinar. My name is Werner Van Looy. I'm the Key Account Manager for SafeLine CANopen-Lift products. Today's webinar is all about THOR. The idea of the webinar came from our customers who demanded for live video calls to get some more insight or training about our THOR controller. In these Corona times, it's not so obvious to make appointments, so there was a lot of demand for video conference. So therefore, this webinar. At the end of this demo session, you will get the opportunity to have some questions, a Q&A session, and yeah, let's see how it goes. So, what's on the agenda for today? It's a little bit about SafeLine, what is CANopen-Lift, THOR NXT hardware-wise, how to work with the touchscreen, the cloud service, and then some other CANopen products, LXC I/O cards and LEO displays. And just to highlight, there will be a second webinar, the 17th of June, where we have more insight in how to program LEO displays, creating a logo, creating a picture as background, program inputs, outputs, etc. And then the toolbox software, how to work with the laptop and configure your THOR controller. And then, of course, the cloud service ORION, how to work remotely with THOR. But that is for the 17th of June. We will highlight a little bit today, but in detail, we go further the 17th. So, SafeLine. What is SafeLine today and how it began 25 years ago? It was, in fact, our founder, Lars Gustafsson, who founded SafeLine in his garage, starting with the emergency equipment, emergency phones. And today we are a group of about 90 to 100 people, and we are divided, or not divided, we are having 6 offices. Our main office is still in Tyresö, Sweden. It is our headquarters, where we have 2 production lines, an assembly line, and of course the complete R&D facilities are located over there. Then we have an office in Norway, in Asker. We have one in Denmark, in Glostrup. Then Ladenburg, Germany. In England, in Greyford. And then last but not least, in Diest in Belgium, where we are located today for this webinar. We have an office, but also a training center. But a little bit more about that in a few slides. CANopen-Lift CR417. What does it mean? Well, CAN stands for Control Area Network. Open says it all because it's an open protocol, a communication protocol, and CR417 is the version of this protocol. So it all started in 1986 by Bosch. They invented the serial bus system to use in the automotive industry because they wanted to reduce the spaghetti of wires from this automotive industry, and therefore they introduced the CAN system. In 1994, Canon Automation published the first version of CR301. In 2003, the Special Interest Group published the first version of CR417, and 5 years later, it was the second version of CR417, and up until today, we still use this version. So, in fact, CANopen-Lift CR417 is a open protocol to communicate between devices, products, CANopen-Lift products. But what does it mean in reality for day-to-day users? It's quite simple. This open protocol allows or enables products from different brands, different producers to communicate with each other. So if you want to put together a lift installation, you can choose from now on which kind of encoder, inverter, or controller or whatsoever product that you want to combine in your installation. You can combine these in an open market. That means that the difference with the existing CAN bus systems from bigger suppliers, these are closed systems. That means that if you bought in the past lift installation from these suppliers and something breaks and you need to replace it, you have to buy it from this same supplier again. That means that they can control prices not in a beneficial way for the customer. So from now on, you choose your supplier, your producer, your product. If you want to work with a rotating encoder, or you want to have a linear encoder, or you want to work with type A inverter or type B inverter, it's the same. You can work with it, and it gives you an open market, open prices. So the prices are much more competitive than they were with these closed systems. And at the end of the day, if you, for example, after 5 or 10 years and something breaks and you want to change the product, then you do not need to buy the same product. You just can choose another supplier or another system, and that gives you a lot more flexibility. So that is what CANopen-Lift CA417 stands for. It's an open choice that you can make. So when we come up with a controller, we also need some training. What we have today is a training center in Diest, Belgium, where we have 6 training stations. On the big picture, you can see that we have these training stations equipped with a THOR controller, a LEO display, an IO8 card, and some push buttons. And it allows us in a training mode to simulate a lot of things, teach or train better 6 people in a simultaneous way. So that is what we have today. But also on the background, you can see the simulator. It's a complete lift simulator. In fact, it's a complete lift without the mechanical parts. So no ropes, no car, no doors, but inverter, motor, LOP, COP, and all the rest what you can find on a real lift. So it enables us to program and see the result immediately. We can simulate breakdowns for training, and we can do that in Diest. The second possibility is to go on site with the customer. So then we take these training stations with us to your premises, and we train 6 people in the same time in your location. Unfortunately, the simulator is too heavy to transport, so it will be without a simulator. And as third option, since a short time, we provide sessions via Teams, a little bit as we do now, so remotely with a live screen. The difference with the webinar today and the live screen training is that you can be more interaction, have more interaction, because you can ask questions. I can teach you right away on the screen. So that's different as today, because now we do a presentation, we do a live demo, and afterwards you can ask questions, but it's a little bit in between. So this is what we can do today. If there are other questions or other needs, of course, you can always contact us and we will see what we can do also. THOR NXT. What versions can we provide? It all begins with the basic version, THOR 11.00. The basic version, in fact, is suitable for, let's say, platform lifts, dumb waiters, lifts where you do not have push buttons on the landings, or where you don't have automatic doors or even no doors. So the basic version where you do not need extra IOs or safeties on board, relays, etc. Then we have the second version, it's the 1101. There we equip the basic version with 16 IOs. And 1110, we equip with the safety zone board. When do you need the safety zone board? It's quite simple when you want to work within a hydraulic unit and you want to re-level with open doors, or you have a traction lift, a fast traction lift, where you want to open doors before you reach the floor level, then you need this safety zone board. And then we have the 11.11 version. It's the full version, as we name it. It's equipped with the IO board, extra IOs, 16 IOs, and the safety zone board. And in fact, that is the version that we sell the most up until today. And now, last but not least, we have two extra versions, 1102, 1112. These are specially made for hydraulic units. So the RE6 relay board is equipped in this version. So you get 6 relays to control the hydraulic unit. And you can have that in the version without the safety zone board or with the safety zone board. So if you see to these order numbers, 1102, 1112, you will see that the 2 on the back will indicate that it is a hydraulic unit, for hydraulic units. Hardware. I'm going to reduce the time that we spend on hardware because I have only 45 minutes and I have a lot to say about THOR that is more interesting than the hardware, because the complete hardware you can find on the websites. If you go to THOR Engineering or you go to SafeLine, the SafeLine group, you can find all the manuals online. Hardware version, software version, it's all online. So, but what you can see here is the THOR unit with a 5-inch touchscreen and 5 hardware buttons. The upper button is for the settings. Then we have maintenance and installation, the main menu, destination and landing calls, and home button. And this home button is quite important because wherever you are in the menu, wherever you are in THOR, and you need to go back to the main screen that you see now, that is the main screen, then you just push the home button and you will be referred to this main screen again, so you can't get lost. A little bit about the hardware, but in a short note. X23 and X24, these are CAN2 and CAN1 connectors. We have 2 CAN buses, one for the car, one for the, let's say, the shaft for landing calls, etc. And CAN1 is for the car, where the inverter, the encoder, the calls are connected. So it's important to know that you have to shield these, but this is something for later. We have also the terminations, CAN2 and CAN1, to terminate your CAN bus. And then, of course, X21, where we find the power supply. And the rest you need to read. But also we can refer to this picture. On the right side, you see the X11, where you can connect the safety chain. These are 6 IOs of 230 volts. Sorry, IOs, not inputs only, for 230 volts. Then we have X30 and X31 for the safety zone and the door zone. But also important is the RJ45 Ethernet connection in the middle of the screen. There you can connect your Ethernet cable or your router to work remotely or with the cloud service. And then right next to that, we have two USB slots to backup or upload, download software. And the rest is IOs, and you can read all about that. I will come back to that for the terminals, but that is for later. So, how to work with THOR? As already mentioned, we have the, I hope you can see the screen. It should be live now. So, as mentioned, it's a touch screen. For clarity, it works with my finger, but because my finger is a little bit more thick than a pen, I will use the pen to show how it works. So, as told, the home button, the settings, where you can go into the menu, you can go further, and whatever you want to select, you can go into. We then have the service and assembly side. We have the service and settings menu, and we have the possibility to enter calls via the car calls or landing calls. You can choose where you want to drive to. We will do that later, but you also can choose to operate door A or door B. And then we have the home button that brings you back to the main screen. So what can we find on the main screen? All these circles or dots are car calls, registration of car calls. Triangles are landing calls. Then we have the complete shaft with all your floors. You can name the floors as you want. That's important because that will be displayed on the LEO displays as well. So if you, for example, want to go to a bar, then the LEO display will mention that it's a bar, but also you can put a background picture of this bar or whatever you want to integrate as picture as a background. Then we have the car, and it indicates now that the light is off. But if you want to open the door, you can just push the doors and they will react. Then we have T5. This is a indication of the team number. This lift was team number 5 in a group of maximum 8. We have the cloud icon. On this icon, you can see now that it's red with a white cross. That means that there is no connection. So if you integrate an Ethernet cable or the router and you connect, it will start becoming green with a V. And if you have real connection, when you are live, there will be another symbol as well, but we'll come back to that later. Other information you have is the temperature of the machine room, the time, and here you have the name of the board. So if you want to put in an address or you want to say it's in a shopping mall, it's the lift under the staircase or whatsoever, you can name that. Then we have the day, and we are the 3rd of June. We have the absolute encoder position, but we also have the difference between the floor level and the car, velocity, the amount of trips, operational hours. Remember, this is a training board, so it's not a real integrated board in a live lift. We have the load. So if you connect a weighing device from Henning or whatever that is CANopen-Lift, then you can check the load of the car, and you will always see this information here, but it will also be recorded in the logbook. So when you have a fault, an error, and your lift blocks, then you get all the information, but we come back to that later. Then We have 3 push buttons, not hardware, but software buttons. And these buttons are made for, let's say, make the life of the technician easier. When he is working on the lift, or there is somebody from the notified bodies who wants to do a test or something, and you want your lift to be for your own, that nobody starts to push the calls, the landing calls, then you can enable the landing calls, just saying, I only want to have car calls. But you can also enable or disable better, sorry, the automatic doors. So if you do not want the doors to be opened, then and you want to send the lift, then it doesn't react. So if you want to make a car call, then he will do that. He will not open the doors. And if you want to do the same for a landing, sorry, for a landing, he will not do that. Any kind of landing call, he will refuse. So going back to the main button, I can also put the lift on maintenance. And why is that important? Because on the displays, there will now be an icon giving an indication that people are working on the lift, but also the logbook stops recording. So there will be no loggings in the logbook as long as you have him in maintenance mode. That is because you don't want all this rubbish information as lift stopped because door was open while running, or whatever information that you do not need because you worked on the lift. So when you afterwards, after this maintenance or test, want to enable him again, then you restore your lift in the normal way. So what else can we find on this screen? You can find the indication of the safety chain, the door zone and the floor level, but also your drive relays. So we have the floor and we have the door zone, but also the drive relays. So when I go back and I send the lift somewhere, you will see that the safety circuit is closed. When he passes the floor, the door zone will indicate that it's there. We have the fast, slow, now it's down and slow. We will do it again to show you again. So we go up fast, and then when he arrives, he will slow down, of course. But also here you will see that the safety chain will be broken until the doors. So that's quite obvious to follow what's happening. If we swipe one down, we get into this terminal menu where you can find all IOs. In this case, we are talking about the terminals or connectors for the inputs, input 1 to input 6, but we can also find outputs, even with the relays. And here you see this up, down, fast, slow. But if you go further, then you can see that this terminal can be programmed as you want. So you can select whatever you want to select for this input. And you can also see that whatever you select, you can find here if that is what you wanted to program, then you acknowledge. If that is not what you want to select, then you just say, no, that's not. So we keep it like this. This is all in blue. When there is now a call, you will see that the active relays will color in green. And that is the same for input outputs. So if you have a breakdown and you want to see that inputs are coming in, you just have to go to the terminals. The lift indicates in green that the input is incoming. And if it's blue, then you have a problem with the signal. When I started working at SafeLine, the manual, the online manual of the software was 174 pages. And I didn't check today, but I think it was yesterday, it was 32. So in fact, it's more than doubled. So does that mean that you have to learn this manual by heart? No, because it's too much to do, but you can go to the online manual, and if you type Control F, you can find a search function where you integrate a word, and then you can find it in the manual. But you don't have to go to the manual always. You also can do a search function on THOR itself. So when you push this symbol and you integrate a 3-letter word, minimum 3 letters before they start to search, but of course if you want to type it completely, it's up to you. But for example, if I type, I'm not sitting in front of the screen, so I don't see it good because the camera is in front of me. For example, UCM, then you see that he finds all the words with UCM in a manual, and then you can choose out of that. But you also can, for example, take a timer. Then it will give you all the timers. If you want to, for example, want to find the light curtain or something, oh, you need to erase it first. That's it, curtain, etc., etc. So you can find in this logbook whatever you want, and then you are in the menu where you want to be. So if you want to work with a curtain, you just ask which one do you want to select, etc. So home again. And then there's something that we can find in the search function, but also here, if we want to go to the diagnosis, we go to the logbook. Logbook, very important for breakdowns. All these loggings have different colors, different symbols, and a level of importance as well. So if we see, for example, to the green ones, then we are talking about messages. If we are talking about the yellow ones, then we are talking about warnings. But we can also select what we want, and then we select, for example, an error that is blocking the lift. So when you select it, he will give you a number that you can find in the manual, but also he will also indicate already in a small text what is this, why does he block, and what can we do for that. And you can go further, and then he said the fingerprint of the event. And what is the fingerprint? Well, the fingerprint gives you the actual situation of the lift when it broke down. And when you go for more, you get all the details. Then you get time, date, where was the lift located, at which floor. You get the absolute encoder position, the difference between the floor level and the car, the velocity, the load, etc., etc., etc. And then we come to the door zone, the safety chain, and the drive relays. So we get a glimpse of all this information. Every logging gives you that. But for example, your technician comes on site, the lift is working again, he doesn't have any idea of what happened, and with this information, he can't make an idea how to fix it. Then THOR gives him the opportunity to go back in time for 2 seconds per 100 milliseconds. He will go back for in 20 steps to see what was the situation of the safety chain. So for example, when your lift is driving against a door opener and breaks the safety chain, you will see that here. Then the door lock or the another input will be gone for a few milliseconds. And you can also do that for the drive relays. See, was the drive really active, for how long or not? And you can also do that for the velocity. So THOR gives you a rear mirror view of 2 seconds, and that is quite a good feature because it enables you to get a very good idea about what is happening with the lift and how to solve the problem. But also, a nice feature is if your lift technician has all the information and he doesn't know exactly what to do, then he can call tech support, and tech support will start asking him questions about what was the situation of the safety chain, what was the position, etc., etc. So he will get a lot of questions and will not always able to answer fast or lose some time. So then we integrated this, and I go back now to show you this QR code. And this QR code gives you exact the same information as you have on your lift. And why is that important? Because just sending this by email or by another WhatsApp or SMS device to the tech support will save him time, but also for breakdowns that are repeatable. They send it to the tech support, they gather it, and let's say in 3 weeks there were 5 breakdowns and nobody solved it. So if these technicians send this information to tech support, they can compare it and maybe find a pattern or whatever to solve the problem. So quite nice feature. Let's talk about installation a little bit. When we are installing a lift and you came at a point that you installed your encoder, your door zone magnets, and you are ready to do a learning trip, then I always use this feature. I always use this feature because then I don't need to search in the menu. So learning trip, you can choose about a automatic learning trip or a manual learning trip. Because I'm quite lazy, I always choose automatic learning trip. And then you select it. And THOR says, to do a learning trip operation, the lift controller should have the assembly mode operation turned on. And then he says, shall I do that? Of course, because I'm the lazy guy, I say, do it for me. And then he asks to be sure, are you really sure to erase all existing floor level positions and start a new automatic learning trip? Yep. So make sure the cabin car is flush on level at the lowest bottom floor. So you just need to drive your lift to the bottom floor, make it flush, and then the automatic learning trip operation will drive the lift using creeping speed from the bottom to the top floor and sense the lower and upper zone flags to calculate the floor level positions in the middle of this distance. Then I say, okay, he will prepare and he starts the learning trip. Of course, in a situation where this lift would be a real installation, having an encoder, having a door zone magnet or other things, then I could start a learning trip. But this is a simulator without an encoder, without the door zone indicator, so he will not do that. The reason why I just wanted to show is because the learning trip is very easy. THOR will teach himself the floor levels, but also in a second learning trip, he will teach himself the ideal curve of starting and stopping the inverter. So you do not need to make a lot of settings. You just let THOR find the ideal curve, and he will do that automatically. So when we try to go back, he says, do you really want to cancel? Yep, we cancel that. And then we come in a situation where the lift is not green anymore, and there's a tool on it. You can see here that he says assembling mode activated because he asked me and I allowed him to. So what can I do? I can go for assembling and repair and I'll reset it, or I can go for the search function, say assembly and I come in the same menu. But what I always can do, and that's my favorite because remember I'm the lazy guy, I just press this tool icon and then it will bring me immediately to this menu. So saving a lot of time, give you all possibilities. And the lift is back in a normal stage again. If we talk about, for example, notified bodies, testing, etc. So one of the inspectors want to do some testing and he wants to know what is integrated in this controller to do some testing. Then he just goes to the search function, he press test. He will get a drop-down list of all the kind of tests that you can assist him with. And you just have to select if it's about speed governor, about limit switch, about runtime testing, brake testing, whatever. Let's say we select limit switch. Then he will bring us to this test. So THOR always asks, are you sure to activate this test because of blah, 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 blah. Different for every test, of course. And then he will say what he will do for this testing. And then, in fact, he wants to assist you. So what he's going to do here is you select the top test or the bottom test for the limit switches. Then he will drive to the second highest floor before he wants to run into his limit switches, or second lowest floor. So let's do that. We select the top test. Now he takes automatically the second highest floor. Now I say start. And then you can see that the absolute position indicates the speed, and then he's ready to do the real test. Now he's at the second highest floor, then he will run into this limit switch. So you will see when he arrives, he is now in the limit switch and he immediately gives you a report. So saying that the top limit switch testing result for this lift is being done at a velocity of 603 millimeters per second, where the lift stopped, the floor level, and then the distance between the floor level and where he stopped was 105 millimeters. So he ran in over his highest floor level, 105 millimeter before he reached his limit switch. The day and the time, temperature, and also the indication of the controller. So you can gather with this QR code or in a different way all the information, the test results, send it to the tech support or digital logbook or whatever you need it for. So you can save it digitally. And then the lift is still in this limit switch. So now I can say I do the same test for the bottom test, but because of the time we are spending, I say, no, it's enough for 1 day, we go back. Now the lift will restore in a normal way, driving out of the limit switch, and then we go back to the main screen, and then we see that the lift is blocked. Why is he blocked? Because the lift has a situation that is not a day-to-day situation, not normal driving into limit switches. So before he repeals the blocking, he asks me, are you sure to repeal the blocking? I say, yep. And then he will be in normal situation again, driving as before. So there are a lot of tests and a lot of features to help the inspectors to do it in a safe way, all this testing. So, but I limit to this one. Then we are at the stage that we go back to the presentation, and I want to talk a little bit about the cloud service, remote monitoring. So I see that we have no live screen. Oh, we are there again. So if we can start the movie, I hope the movie is possible. Yeah.
SafeLine Orion is the new cloud service from your partner in lift safety. Orion gathers all your SafeLine monitoring into one accessible digital platform. There you can see the current status of your connected SafeLine devices and configure them from the comfort of your office. With the many tools so easily and quickly at hand, customers can perform all sorts of tasks online, like performing and disabling alarm tests online. The effective overview of all your units and the work that needs to be done allows you to easily plan ahead, avoiding the paperwork otherwise associated with such tasks. Journey into the skies with Orion and let lifts come to you.
So, Orion. Orion is our cloud service, as you could see on the movie, but what does it mean for us? The Orion Cloud gives us the opportunity to connect all SafeLine products as emergency phones, the THOR unit, in Lyra unit or whatsoever. So you can combine these devices in one cloud, and this gives you the opportunity to have an overview in milliseconds. Let's give you an example. There is an incoming emergency call. Immediately the screen will open and will give you the correct address. And if it's, for example, in a shopping mall, then it will be stipulated as well if it's the lift under the staircase or it's the lift under, I don't know where he is located, but if there are 20 lifts, it's not opportune to find where is somebody blocked. So you get all the details in real time. But it will always also give you the opportunity to speak with trapped people, let's say ensure or calm them better, saying that your lift technician will arrive in 5 or 10 minutes or maybe longer, and that help is on the way. And also, maybe you can remotely send the lift to a different floor, try to open the doors. In fact, you can do exactly the same from remotely as I have shown you today. So when you want to send the lift, reset the lift even, you can do that remotely. And also, it will enable you to send the correct technician. For example, if there is no trapment and you have the choice to send a technician who is mechanically good or electrical-wise better, then you can select who to send, and it gives you a lot of opportunities. Um, I go. No, I'm going to limit the Orion or the cloud solutions to this one because we have this webinar the 17th of June where we go in detail and go live showing you how it works, what does it mean for the customer. So I will limit it to there. Very short. Our car roof CPUs, LXC, LXC Mini, where you can connect the car CAN buses, IOs from the car. We have inputs for the doors, the sub-D for, let's say, an input of the encoder. And then we have the LXC Mini, is the little brother when you only have, for example, one automatic door and you have less car calls or whatever you want to connect. So it's typically for the car roof. I/O cards, we have the I/O card starting from I/O2 to I/O16, but that's integrated in THOR already. So I/O8 is the largest that you can buy separately. All of them are with JST connectors and with screw connectors as well, but not for I/O2. That's only available with JST connectors. Keep in mind that I/O8 is galvanically isolated for the CAN buses. I/O4 and I/O2 are not, so we recommend to use these in CAN2 only. Leo displays. We can talk hours about Leo displays, but we'll limit that to the webinar. But just to say that the Leo displays are very nice 4 and 5 inch displays, CANopen-Lift, so remotely you can program them for changing logos, changing text, changing the background picture. The background picture you can choose for whatever floor you want a different picture, you can install that. And we have on the Leo 5 we have 12+4 IOs integrated, and the Leo 4 we have 4 IOs integrated. And then we come to the end of the presentation, and we have the opportunity to have questions and answers. So I need to see to the screen what is coming in and what we can answer today. Anyway, all your questions that you are sending, these will be recorded and will be answered anyway. The complete demo from today was being recorded. We will try to cut the black pauses and make it one nice video to put it on LinkedIn and YouTube again. So if people want to see afterwards what was all about, they missed the opportunity, they can check it out. So let's see if we get some questions.
What happens when you search the QR code on a logbook entry fingerprint? Does it take you to the relevant part of the manual?
No. The QR code gives you the opportunity. Ben ik live op screen? Okay. The QR code gives you the opportunity to get exactly the same information as you would see on the logbook. So no, it gives you the situation when the lift broke down, so you can't go into the logbook. If you in the manual. If you go to the manual, you can find via the let's say the fault number directly what it can be caused. What's the cause of the problem?
Second one. With the cloud service, what amount of data does this use monthly, and can it run through the GSM unit of the autodial system?
You can have all kinds of data for the cloud service going back for 90 days, even if you want. It gives you the opportunity to go, let's say 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever that you can gather. Gives you the opportunity to go via the autodialer? No, because THOR that gathers the information still needs a router. We are working on that. In a short time, there will be an availability, but there is a solution for that to work with one GSM card on THOR and on, for example, the SL6. So if you need more information, send me an email and we will tell you how to solve that.
By the end of the year, we will have an development.
Yeah. So as we already mentioned, we are working on it, but Nico just told me that it will be ready at the end of the year. So a little bit patient.
The optional board 11.x2 for hydraulics has 6 outputs, but has it any inputs?
I need to check because I just was informed last week about this opportunity or new board. So I will get this question. I will inform and I will put it on the Q&A list to answer that. So we will record it and we will come back on that.
Is Orion available yet?
Orion is in a testing phase. We are having some OEM partners who are running the tests. So it will be shortly available. I don't have exact the date, but then I'm speaking for THOR. Maybe it's available for emergency phones or for LiDAR already, but I need to check with Nico.
LiDAR is available.
So,
phones not yet.
Okay, Orion in the LiDAR combination is live and is available. So, but that's more Nico who can answer that. He's in charge of this product.
Can you use the full version XT1111 on a hydraulic lift, or do you have to use the part code MNE2?
No, 1111 is used for hydraulic lifts for many years already. So the extra RE6 board gives you only more flexibility and it's easier to work with. But 1111 can do the job as well. Okay, so if there are any other questions or there is a need for contact, these are my details. So if you want to send me an email or you want to give me a call or you want to have a training session or whatever your need is, please contact me directly and I will come back to you as soon as possible. And I would like to thank you for this session. Hope you found it interesting. And just a reminder, the 17th of June, we will have the second webinar about the clouds, about LEO displays, and about the toolbox software. So thank you very much. Have a nice day, and hopefully we'll speak to each other later. Thank you. Cheers. Bye-bye.